My girlfriend of 6 years cheated on me, took everything I owned, and made me homeless, but I got my revenge. When I was 18, I fell in love with a girl named Vanessa. In the beginning, there was nothing suspicious about her. Sure, she had her temper tantrums and sure, she was a little weird when it came to money. However, she was the most beautiful woman I had ever met, and it was easy to overlook her flaws whenever she reminded me she loved me. Vanessa asked me to do a lot of strange things for her, like add her onto my lease even though she didn't pay rent and purchase my car in her name. Whenever I asked her why she was making such weird demands, she told me that she couldn't control what she needed to feel secure in our relationship, and that it was her OCD and anxiety that made her make these requests. She said that if I truly loved her, I would agree to doing those things to preserve her mental health. In hindsight, it was stupid that I fell for her excuses, but I was young and in love. Then, 6 years after we started dating, Vanessa, who bullied me into giving her pretty much everything I had ever purchased, convinced me to sink all my savings into her startup. This was around when we were talking about getting married, so I was eager to go through with it, especially since she told me that she would pay for our wedding with whatever profit she made over the next 2 years. Not even 2 days later, Vanessa kicked me to the curb. She blocked me on all accounts, changed the lock for my car and apartment, and took everything I owned, even the stuff that I hadn't legally signed over to her. If I was richer, I probably could have managed to get a lawyer to file a small court claim against her, but I was both poor and desperately in shock. For a week, I lived on the streets, convinced that Vanessa was punishing me in a bout of poor mental health, but after loitering outside her door too long, she finally snapped at me and shouted, "Are you a clown? Did you not realize that I'm not getting back together with you? We only lasted this long because I wanted to take everything you owned." Her words changed my life, surprisingly, for the better. I was devastated after what Vanessa did, but the one thing she hadn't stripped from me was my restaurant job. My boss let me sleep in the back room so long as I took every opening and closing shift, which no one else wanted, and I started to scrape together the money for a down payment on a new apartment, until I realized that, actually, what I had was a pretty good situation. I was effectively homeless, but my gym membership meant I could shower, my restaurant job meant I could eat, and I had a secure place to sleep. Still, I didn't forget about my ex. I tried tracking the success of Vanessa's startup every day through stocks. Without TV or video games, the stock market soon became my hobby. I would look at it like it was social media. The issue was, I had no clue how to understand it. So, with a little Googling, I downloaded an app called Bloom, Learn to Invest, from the App Store where it taught me everything. I had access to hundreds of lessons, charts, and explanations that guided me to a genuine understanding of the stock market, and soon, I got the ridiculous idea that maybe I should invest the money I was making while working at the restaurant instead of just sitting on it passively until I was ready to move out. So, using the lessons I learned from Bloom, I started investing. Obsessively so. Until my mother's health suddenly failed and I had to return home to help her. However, despite me not doing anything with my stocks in the time I was helping my mom, I found that in a matter of only months, the stocks I had invested in had actually increased in value, to the point where I had turned a significant profit. For a while after that, I lived with my mom and continued to invest every dime I made. I went back to the app, took more of the lessons, read up on the stock market, and by the time my mother had gotten better, I realized that I didn't need to go back to the restaurant. I was actually making more money by waking up, choosing to sell or invest every morning, and moving forward like that. I eventually got hired as a market analyst through a mix of luck and demonstrating how much money I'd made in such a short time. I don't think my employer really bought that I'd actually learned everything just through the Bloom app, but they hired me regardless, and I continued to invest every penny I made. But I never forgot about Vanessa. I was obsessed with her, unhealthily so, and so 2 years later, right when I found out that her company was going to go under, I decided to schedule a meeting to discuss a buyout. I knew Vanessa would accept, and so I met with her. The shock on her face when she saw me in a suit, somehow already in a position of power over her even though she stole every cent I had, was enough in itself. However, I wasn't done. As soon as Vanessa saw me, she knew that I had no actual plans of buying her company out, and I finally managed to get her to talk and explain why she stole everything I owned. She explained that felt jealous, was scared of the future, and she even confessed that she had lied about all her mental health issues to manipulate me into giving her more financial control. She ended with an apology, to which I told her the best apology would be giving back everything, the money she convinced me to invest, my car, and all my property that was still in her apartment. She awkwardly refused. That was exactly what I was hoping for, though. See, my state has a one-party consent rule for audio recordings. With her literal confession of theft safe on my phone, I will now be seeing a lawyer at the end of this week so we can decide just how much I'm going to sue her for. The look on Vanessa's face when she realized what had happened was priceless, almost as good as all the money I'm finally going to get back from her. Serves her right. She deserves to never be in a relationship again.